Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Today we are going to go into a deep dive into deconditioning and what's involved. The impetus for this focus came from a regular viewer, Layla El Bazi, and she was watching a video I did on the Open Emotional Center. And I made a comment to say that, I have a completely open emotional center, nothing going to or from it. And therefore, I'm going to experience throughout my life all those gates and channels. She said, does this mean that we'll also be triggered in all the gates until it transforms to wisdom? So we need to break that down a little bit, because it's not a particular gate that I need to work on specifically in this life. So when we talk about the wisdom of the completely open center, what we're really talking about is the wisdom of that center in all the ways that it can manifest itself. So I take in emotional energy in whatever gate it is, in whatever channel it is, and I amplify it. I get to feel what that is, amplified. And it can be very painful and it can be very pleasurable. Now, when I didn't know about human design, it was like really, I didn't know what was going on. I thought there was something missing in me. I thought, well, why don't I feel like other people feel? I don't have an emotional system. And 50% of viewers watching now also don't have a fixed emotional system. Once I found out about human design, I realized the open emotional system differentiated me from all those with a fixed emotional system. That was a massive wake up. What? You mean there's nothing wrong with me? This is normal? I mean, how do you live this? So what I began to notice was what happened to me, my own experience when I was in the company of emotional people. But in a general way. To begin with, it was like, whoa, they're upset. Now I'm upset, or they're happy and I'm happy, in a simple way. But when you keep meeting the channels and the gates again and again, you begin to notice similarities. So the wisdom of that is that I can be caught in the emotional field, and it will make me feel a certain way. And I can get to differentiate how it makes me feel when I'm in it. And I can remember that. It's not me, though. It's not like I'm going to spend my whole life looking at emotional issues, because I don't have any gates there. I'm not particularly interested in finding out everything about the emotional system. I'm interested in how it affects me. Now, if I was someone with an emotional system with a gate in it, that would become the nub of learning. That would become the nub of learning. If I had a 49 in an open solar plex, it would have all the themes of, tribal emotionality, need, and resources, and territory, and love, and snuggling into one another, and all the things that come through that emotional circuitry. But I don't have that. That's not a lesson I am here to learn specifically. That's part of the lesson I get to learn from having a completely open emotional system. I hope that makes it a little bit clearer. And then Layla goes on to say, if that's true, doesn't it also count for the gates that are not activated, the white gates, and when you've got a fixed gate looking towards it? Yes, Layla, that's very important. It's especially important if it's in your chart in an important way, like a bridge gate for a split definition, for those of you who understand what I mean by that. Because you've got a fixed gate in a fixed center looking towards an open center with no gate in it, you're looking at that. So in my chart, if you look at 56th gate, it's a very important gate for me because it's the grounding of my personality. So it's where I earth, and I earth in storytelling. Here I am telling you stories. And it's in stimulation, and it's in entertainment, and etc. All the themes of the 56. But I keep looking for the endless ideas. And before human design, I was lost in so many different ideas, didn't know which way to go, my head full of this and that, and then it would pass, and then I'd get into something else, and so it went on. Now I get to experience meeting an 11th gate who has endless ideas, and I can see which of those ideas are interesting for me. This is the open ajna, the ability to see which ideas are interesting, or which ideas are valid, or which ideas are just astounding. There's all different ways of looking at it. But I make the decision of what's interesting, not from what's interesting, but from what I respond to. It all comes back to strategy and authority. Someone could have a very interesting idea, but it's not interesting to me. So we begin to differentiate in what we are attracted to within that theme, because we're looking at it. The key thing about dealing with the not self is that you need to work from your strategy and authority, in my case, what I respond to, and at the same time, to always come back to the body. So in my connections with emotional people, if I'm around emotional people, I walk into a room and there's 3 emotional people there, and my whole body goes, "Ee!" You know, someone's upset, you know, and I'm walking into a whole drama. And, you know, I have the wisdom to be able to walk out of that room again. Or if there's something that's particularly juicy in the drama that's unfolding, I may well stay and take it all in and see what it's like to see 3 emotional people all engaged together. And I have done that. And I've learned a lot from that. But I've learned about what isn't me. I've learned about how the emotional system works in that setting. You see, it's not a fixed thing. It's like, do I respond to being there? In this case, if I did, I would be learning what would be useful for me, and I may not even know why. Over the years, well, more than 25 years with human design, I have got to experience emotional energy a great deal, and consciously. So I can recognize it. I can recognize its flavor, if you like. Whenever I meet it, I can see it in the expressions on people's faces and the way they move, because I have human design to help me differentiate, which is brilliant for teaching, but it's not like I want to spend my whole life doing that. You know, I don't respond to that. So I hope that distinction is useful. And the other thing I want to say is, when you mention waiting for the openness to transform into wisdom. Wisdom is like kingdom. It's a domain. It's the ability to see. You know, I am wise about what I've seen, or in this case, what I've experienced. And I can talk about it because I've seen in the experience what I'm here to see, and I can then share that with you. This doesn't mean that I'm here to jump into emotional drama my whole life. That would be exhausting. That's not wisdom, that's stupidity, because I would be going against my own energy that wouldn't want to do that. Do you see what I mean? It's not something, it's a way of seeing. It's the domain that you stand. It's like a state you stand in. Me knowing I'm not emotional gives me that ability to learn to not, for example, take emotional people's seriousness when they're really down in the wave and, you know, they're really heavy in it. I now know that that is what they're experiencing. And I may be amplifying it at that time, but it's not necessarily something I want to experience or need to experience all the time. So I hope that's clear. I've done my best with with that question. I hope that's clearer. Generally speaking, in deconditioning, we're looking for the things that we have hooked onto that are not us, that we're overplaying. Those white centers can cause so much trouble, and the gates that we have in them can become a whole theme in our life that is inappropriate. Once you've learned what you are and you see yourself playing out in reaction, in a repeated way, the not self keeps coming up again and again and again in the same bloody way. That's how you know it's not self. Because in this case, in emotional case, I know I'm not emotional. If I get emotional about the same things again and again, I got a problem. There's something I need to look at if that keeps happening. This is how we allow the not self to drop away, by seeing it from a state of knowing that it is not us. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please like and share and subscribe. And I'll be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.